Breaking news is what we're getting you at the top of 8:30. Raj Thackeray has insulted the martyr jawans of the LOC. The MNS chief has said that the border tension is a ploy by the central government to divert attention from the political crisis it is facing. Making an insensitive comment about the sacrifice made by the two Indian jawans at the border, Raj Thackeray said that he doubts whether the two were martyred or were they victims of Indo-Pak politics.
आणि पाकिस्तान मधले ज्या राजकारण जे चालू असतं ह्या सगळ्या राजकारणाचे हे बळी आहेत का की काहीतरी सरकारच्या अंगावरती आल्यानंतर तिकडे सीमेवरती काहीतरी 2-4 जवानांना ठार मारायचे इश्यू करायचा परत भारत पाकिस्तान काहीतरी एक मोठा इश्यू करायचा लोकांना काहीतरी वेगळ्याच दिशेने न्यायचं.
Well, let's get in more from our Mumbai bureau chief Sahil Joshi, who's now on the phone line with us. Sahil, Raj Thackeray coming out and in fact not showing any kind of respect to these martyrs, coming out with this hugely controversial statement saying that the government is trying to divert attention of the public from real issues.
Yeah, and he believes that. He thinks that there are many other important issues right now in the country and in Maharashtra. So to divert those issues, always such kind of tension is created between nations. And it always happens a year before election, and because of that, the whole attention turns to that, and because the real issues takes the back seat. At the same time, he has also targeted BJP for not doing much in such kind of issues. He has also raised issues saying that Samjhauta Express was started when the relation between two nations were not good, and now BJP is making tall claims about teaching Pakistan a lesson. So basically, he has targeted the whole political class of the country and saying that these kind of tensions are always built up to divert attention from the real issues. And most of the political parties, like say Congress and BJP, both have not done anything to teach Pakistan a lesson, and they always make tall claims when such kind of issues are erupted.
Just stay on with us, Sahil. Let's also get in a word from our editor, Strategic Affairs, Gaurav Sawant, who's now on the phone line with us from Udhampur. Gaurav, you know, in a situation like this, in an environment like this, for anybody to come out and make such a highly insensitive comment, it just goes to speak volumes, A, about the individual and also the kind of politics they're engaging in.
Oh, indeed. This is more than just bizarre. It's outrageous that Raj Thackeray could say something as bizarre. And I was just speaking to a senior army officer here who said, you know, this is absolutely obnoxious and defies logic. I mean, how can Raj Thackeray say something so insensitive and factually incorrect? This will only benefit the enemy because the army is very clear. The soldiers were beheaded by the Pakistan army regulars and one was, you know, his body was mutilated. 2 soldiers dealt with in such a bizarre manner by the Pakistan army. And there is evidence that the army has now collected to say how 29 Baluch regiment elements of this 29 Baluch and the Special Services Group commandos of the Pakistan army trained for this. They gathered intelligence for this. They recce'd this area for over a week and then carried out this bizarre operation. So, you know, for Raj Thackeray to come around and say that this is just the UPA government trying to divert attention from the domestic problems that they're facing, this is actually the line that Pakistan has taken so far.
Absolutely. And Gaurav, how much does it take away from the sacrifice of the martyrs? We're talking about their families still trying to come to terms with this entire sacrifice. The severed head they have been fighting for still not returned. And then you have statements like this coming forward from some of our politicians.
Indeed, the chief of the army staff, General Vikram Singh, he's visiting Lance Naik Hemraj's family later today. The army is saying we are one family, we are trying to come together and cope with this grief. And on the other hand, you have a regional politician like Raj Thackeray who would come out and say something as obnoxious as what he has. This clearly, as my sources in the army were saying, will benefit the enemy, because India has categorically said that this has been done by the Pakistani army, elements of the Pakistan army. This is not even the work of terrorists. It's Pakistani forces and politicians who are saying that this is, you know, what is happening within India. They may have done this themselves and are trying to divert attention from the internal troubles that the UPA government is facing. So if Raj Thackeray takes the same line, Raj Thackeray needs to decide where his loyalties lie. And as far as the army is concerned, they are very clear about this. There is evidence that this has been done by the Pakistan army, and it's Pakistan that needs to be held accountable for this.
Well, it needs to be held accountable. But Gaurav, in a situation like this, what also happens is, with statements like this coming forward, it also adds to the trauma of the family. We're talking about such a big political issue being created out of this. It's the army versus the government. We've seen the statements coming forward from the Prime Minister. But also look at the human aspect of it. It takes so much away from the family itself.
It indeed does. Lance Naik, Hemraj and Sudhakar, they made the supreme sacrifice of their lives, and this is how politicians play politics, petty, dirty politics with a statement like this. Naturally, it will take away from the sacrifice. Naturally, the families would feel extremely hurt and insulted. But it is incomprehensible. As I was speaking to a senior army officer here just a few moments ago, he said it just defies logic. Why
Absolutely.
and how can Raj Thackeray say something so insensitive, so bizarre and incorrigible? I mean, he's just being so incorrigible about this entire thing. Politics is one thing, but this is actually playing politics with national security, because this is where the entire country has come together. It was the army initially, then the opposition, and then the Prime Minister, who made a very strong statement just yesterday, where he said
Absolutely.
it cannot be business as usual with Pakistan as long as Pakistan takes action against those who are involved in this. Now Pakistan will simply turn around and say, look, your own politicians are saying that this is something that happened because you are facing trouble with politics in your own country. So this will just weaken India's case and make India look like such a laughing stock. That is, nobody's going to take Raj Thackeray seriously within the country, but externally, it just shows India in very poor light.
Well, that it does. And let's put that question to retired Lieutenant General Sheru Thapliyal, who's now on the phone line with us. General, appreciate you joining us on the show right now. All of us are just so stunned by what we're getting to hear from MNS Chief Raj Thackeray coming out and saying that it is the tactics of the government to take away issue from real issues, take away attention of the public from real issues, and come out and questioning the sacrifice of the two Lance Knights.
Yeah, but one should not take what Raj Thackeray says very seriously, because everybody knows that what kind of a politician he is. But yes, you're right. Somebody who was speaking on your channel that the other party might, take it up and say, this is what your people are saying. But I think they've got too many troubles of their own, so I don't think they want to comment on this at all. So not to worry. Just forget about the whole thing.
All right, so not much attention should be given to statements like this, is the opinion that's coming out of Lieutenant General Sheru Thapliyal. Gaurav, I'm coming back to you in just a bit on this story as far as things stand, because we have been seeing the kind of tough positioning, the tough talk that also has been coming from the Prime Minister. Let's just listen in before we do that. Let's just listen in to Raj Thackeray, what he said once again.
भारत आणि पाकिस्तान मधले ज्या राजकारण जे चालू असतं, ह्या सगळ्या राजकारणाचे हे बळी आहेत का? की काहीतरी सरकारच्या अंगावरती आल्यानंतर तिकडे सीमेवरती काहीतरी 2-4 जवानांना ठार मारायचे, इश्यू करायचा, परत भारत पाकिस्तान काहीतरी एक मोठा इश्यू करायचा, लोकांना काहीतरी वेगळ्याच दिशेने द्यायचं.
All right, outrageous comments coming forward from the MNS chief. No surprise really, given the sort of rant that he's known to be involved with. Let's also speak to Commodore Uday Bhaskar, defense expert, who's now joining us on the show. Commodore Bhaskar, are you surprised, stunned, outraged by what you're getting to hear from the MNS chief?
I would say that listening to what is coming out just now on your channel and the statements attributed to Mr. Raj Thackeray, it's very, very disappointing, because if this indeed is the accurate quote, that he is in a way casting aspersions on the professionalism and the courage of the Indian soldiers, and suggesting that this has linkage with whatever may have been happening domestically, and that the whole thing was perhaps, as I said, I don't have the exact word, that it may have been some kind of a setup. I think it's a very, very deplorable trend that the domestic political dynamic in India is being linked with national security. Because if there is one element that a mature and really meaningful democracy should respect, is a certain consensus on national security.
Absolutely.
So as I said, I'm sure that the entire country is going to be outraged at this kind of a comment when the suggestion is being made that he doesn't know if they were actually
That's the thing, Commodore Bhaskar. This is a question I was also asking our editor, Strategic Affairs, Gaurav, who's joining us from Udhampur. You know, it takes away so much from the family. Right now, they haven't even come to terms with what's hit them in the manner in which Lance Naik Hemraj was mutilated, his severed head, that demand still going out. You know, it adds so much more to their trauma as well. Commodore Bhaskar, are you there with us?
Can you hear me? I said that it is indeed very, I would say, anguishing for the family, because we are living in a period when there is instant communication because of the various advances in technology. But the anguish of the family apart, I would also draw attention, I think, to what I think is an exceedingly disturbing trend, which is the cynical manipulation of national security to advance a domestic political agenda. I mean, we are aware of the fact that Indian domestic politics are exceedingly divisive.
Correct.
And have been now, I think, pursued along fault lines that, frankly, are not particularly positive in the long run. But this is the first time that we have seen this kind of a position being adopted by a regional party. And again, I would draw attention to the fact that in itself it is not new that regional parties have taken positions that have been at divergence with the center. We had this when Tamil Nadu, with Ms. Jayalalitha at the time, had taken a certain position on the ITKF at a time when Indian troops were returning from Sri Lanka. So I just want to, I think, make this connection that as India is evolving, this kind of a situation where domestic political compulsions, or in this case, I would imagine, regional compulsions, have encouraged political parties to manipulate a national security dynamic. I mean, everyone is aware that 2013 is an election year for India. So I think this is something that civil society and media need to
Well, that's the thing. It's a whole lot of things coming together, really. Commodore Uday Bhaskar, many thanks for having joined us on the show this morning. Many thanks also to Gaurav Sawant, who's joining us on the story from Udhampur. Many thanks to Sahil Joshi and Lieutenant General Thapliyal.